Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless Official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Victoria gives Nate a dangerous kiss? In a vulnerable moment, Victoria Newman might plant a kiss on Nate Hastings. Will these ex-partners reunite over a Claire Newman crisis? Since Cole Howard's passing, Nate has already been providing Victoria and Claire with support. Naturally, Nate has also received support from Claire and Victoria as he deals with the death of Damian Kane. Victoria and Nate have been becoming closer friends, but now that they are both unmarried, there is definitely room for more. We must think about how a rekindled romance between Victoria and Nate might develop, as suggested by autumn preview spoilers. Victoria will be impacted since YNR fans may anticipate more drama for Claire in the upcoming weeks. It will be difficult for Victoria to worry about the state of her daughter's romantic life since she wants to see Claire receive the happiness she deserves. All of Kyle Abbott's lies and secrets caused Claire a great deal of pain. Despite Kyle's best efforts to fix the damage, he keeps making things worse. Nathan Owen's character Holden Novak, meanwhile, is unable to suppress his own affections for Claire. Claire may experience even more romantic issues as her sentiments intensify. Holden's place in Claire's world and the potential trouble he could get her into will cause Victoria to worry. In the upcoming episodes, Nate will have even more motivation to connect with Victoria because he doesn't trust Holden either. Victoria might feel moved by Nate's care for Claire, which would further the reunion taking place here. Victoria might plant a kiss on Nate in a vulnerable moment because she might miss the time when he was hers to kiss. All indications suggest that Holden's influence is causing Claire to approach a crisis. There will be some problems Claire didn't expect, regardless of whether she cheats and regrets it or gets into some danger. When Cole passed away, Victoria's heart broke, and as Claire struggles, it might break even more. As Victoria attempts to gather her thoughts, will she and Nate make eye contact? Victoria Newman has weathered storms before, but in the wake of Cole Howard's passing, her foundation has never felt shakier, especially now that her daughter Claire is spiraling toward a romantic crisis that could undo every fragile step of progress she has made since being brought into the Newman fold, and this deep maternal worry is precisely what leads Victoria into a complicated collision course with Nate Hastings, the man she once trusted with both her heart and her company, a man who has been standing closer and closer to her side in these turbulent weeks, offering not only comfort but also strength as both of them deal with crushing grief, the grief of Victoria losing Cole, and Nate mourning Damian Kane, two tragedies that have left them unmoored and open to old sparks reigniting. It's no wonder, then, that spoilers for autumn are hinting at an explosive and dangerous reunion, one that could change the power balance in Genoa City once again, because when Victoria and Nate come together, whether in the boardroom or the bedroom, their partnership has never been small-scale, it's always been high stakes, high risk, and high drama, and this time will be no different, especially since the catalyst for this reunion is not corporate ambition but rather the emotional minefield surrounding Claire Newman, who has already suffered betrayal at the hands of Kyle Abbott, whose tangled web of lies and secrets have left her scarred and hesitant to trust again, yet still vulnerable to being swept up in Holden Novak's unexpected affections. Holden, played with dangerous charm by Nathan Owens, is proving to be the wild card no one quite anticipated, a man who carries his own secrets and appetites, and whose interest in Claire is igniting alarm bells not just for Victoria but for Nate as well, because Nate knows how manipulative charm can mask ulterior motives, and his protective instincts are on full display as he subtly positions himself as Claire's guardian while simultaneously proving to Victoria that he will not let her daughter get pulled into another destructive entanglement. Of course, Victoria's maternal heart is torn in multiple directions at once, aching for Claire's happiness yet fearful that Holden's attentions will only bring disaster, and in this fragile state of mind, she finds herself remembering the steadiness Nate once brought into her life, how his arms could feel like a sanctuary when the world felt hostile, how his kiss could silence the chaos inside her head. And with these memories bubbling up, it becomes easier to see how one vulnerable night could shift the ground beneath both of them, a night where Victoria, exhausted by Claire's turmoil and haunted by Cole's absence, looks at Nate with wet eyes full of unspoken need, and Nate, already carrying his own grief, cannot look away from the woman who still represents both passion and unfinished business. Will their lips meet in a moment of raw humanity, a kiss that is more about survival than romance, yet one that instantly reignites the dangerous chemistry they thought they had buried? Or will Victoria pull back, terrified of betraying Cole's memory and of inviting even more complications into Claire's already stormy world, since the last thing Claire needs is her mother's romantic life spiraling into another high-profile scandal? The possibilities are endless, but what's clear is that Holden's influence is rapidly pushing Claire into a crisis point. Perhaps he tempts her into reckless behavior. Perhaps he encourages her to make a choice that will put her at odds with Kyle or even land her in danger, and as Claire struggles, Victoria will feel her heart cracking open yet again, only this time Nate will be right there to catch her, and in the charged silence that follows another night of chaos, as they share eye contact that lingers just a little too long, Victoria may finally lean in, unable to resist the magnetic pull of a man who still feels like unfinished business. And that kiss, if it happens, will not only raise eyebrows across Genoa City but will also set the stage for new rivalries, new alliances, and new betrayals, because if Nate and Victoria are once again in each other's orbit, no one, least of all Claire, will be immune to the fallout, and fans should brace themselves for a storyline that blends romance, danger, and emotional wreckage in the quintessential YNR style that keeps everyone talking. Victoria's dangerous kiss with Nate Hastings cannot be seen as a single impulsive act. It is, instead, the culmination of months of grief, longing, and unresolved tension, a kiss that threatens to blur every carefully drawn line in her life, and as the weight of it hangs in the air, Victoria's mind immediately floods with questions she isn't ready to answer. Is she betraying Cole's memory by leaning into Nate's embrace, or is she simply allowing herself to breathe again after drowning for so long in loss? And what will Claire think if she sees her mother rushing into another romance when her own heart is breaking? The danger of this kiss lies not only in the chemistry between Victoria and Nate but also in the timing, because Genoa City thrives on timing, and right now the Newman family is at its most fragile, with Victor still orchestrating business wars behind the scenes, Nick stumbling through his own complicated love life, and Nikki trying to hold the family together as Claire's crisis deepens, which means Victoria's choices carry ripple effects that could shake both her daughter and her family empire. Meanwhile, Nate himself isn't immune to the complications, because although he tries to present himself as composed and supportive, his own grief over Damian Kane has left him raw, and part of him knows that allowing Victoria back into his heart could be a mistake, yet he cannot deny the electric pull he feels whenever she is near, an attraction magnified by the protective instinct he feels toward Claire, who reminds him so much of a younger version of himself, someone struggling to find their footing in a world full of manipulation and temptation. And that's where Holden Novak comes in, because Holden is becoming the wedge that forces these emotions to the surface. A man whose interest in Claire is sending Nate into overdrive as he warns Victoria again and again not to trust Holden's smile or his gentle words, which sound too rehearsed, too polished, too much like the kind of charm that masks something darker. Victoria wants to believe that Claire is strong enough to make her own decisions, yet every time Holden gets too close, every time Claire's defenses soften, she feels a pang of fear that her daughter is about to step off a cliff, and it is in this parental panic that she turns toward Nate, seeking comfort, seeking reassurance, and in that closeness, the kiss happens, soft at first, then heavier with the weight of shared history and unspoken need. And the moment it breaks, both of them know they've crossed a line that can't easily be uncrossed. Nate tries to steady himself, insisting they should slow down, that emotions are running too high, but the look in Victoria's eyes tells him that slowing down may be impossible, because once old passion is reignited, it tends to burn even hotter the second time around. And yet danger lurks in every corner of this possible reunion, because Claire's path is only getting rockier, and Holden is tightening his grip with every passing day, whispering promises that appeal to her yearning for love and stability, the very things Kyle failed to provide when his lies and betrayals shattered her trust. And while Kyle is desperately scrambling to repair the damage, his efforts keep backfiring, leaving Claire feeling more adrift, which in turn makes Holden look like the safer option even as Victoria and Nate grow more suspicious of him. This dynamic pushes Victoria and Nate together more frequently, as they strategize about how to help Claire without pushing her further away, and it's in these stolen moments, late-night conversations in the Newman living room, quiet reassurances over glasses of wine, shared glances when Holden makes yet another calculated move, that their chemistry becomes impossible to ignore, each touch and each word charged with the possibility of something more, until the question is no longer if they will reunite but when, and whether the fallout will destroy the fragile stability Victoria has been trying to rebuild since Cole's death. Spoilers suggest that Holden's influence will indeed drag Claire into a crisis, maybe a betrayal that leaves her reeling, maybe a dangerous situation that puts her physically at risk, and as Victoria's world starts crumbling all over again, Nate will be the one who steps up, not only for Claire but for Victoria herself, proving that his loyalty goes beyond business and beyond casual friendship, and in the aftermath of such chaos, that kiss they shared won't feel like a mistake but like a promise, a dangerous promise that threatens to complicate everything yet feels too necessary to ignore. Fans should expect simmering tension, stolen glances, and more near misses before Victoria finally admits to herself that she wants Nate back in her life, even if it means stepping into a storm, because the truth is she misses being wanted. She misses being understood in the way Nate once understood her, and while she knows that reigniting their romance could spark backlash from her family and reignite old feuds, the temptation might simply be too much to resist, and that is where the true danger lies, not just in the kiss itself, but in the door it reopens, a door that once unleashed could change Victoria and Nate's destinies forever, while simultaneously reshaping Claire's future, because every decision in Genoa City is linked. Every kiss leads to a ripple, and this one could easily become a tidal wave that sweeps through the lives of everyone connected to the Newmans, the Abbotts, and beyond, leaving drama, heartbreak, and shocking revelations in its wake. Victoria Newman's emotions are a tangled web of grief, longing, and maternal instinct, and as she navigates the emotional fallout of Cole Howard's death while watching Claire teeter on the edge of a romantic and personal crisis, it becomes increasingly clear that the kiss she shared with Nate Hastings was not just a fleeting spark but a harbinger of something far more complicated, a force that could either stabilize her or pull her entirely off balance, because every touch from Nate, every lingering gaze, every shared moment of understanding is steeped in history, pain, and unresolved passion, and while Victoria is deeply aware that allowing herself to succumb to these feelings could be seen as betrayal, not just to Cole's memory but to the family she has worked tirelessly to protect, her heart refuses to heed caution, especially in a city like Genoa City where emotions run high, secrets fester, and one wrong move can trigger a domino effect of chaos that spans generations. Nate, for his part, is acutely aware of the stakes, feeling the pull of Victoria's magnetism while simultaneously wrestling with the memories of Damien Kane and the grief that has left him raw and vulnerable, and this duality, the desire to be close to Victoria while also maintaining some semblance of control over his own heart, is a tension that heightens every interaction between them, making the moments they share electrifying, intoxicating, and undeniably dangerous, because both are aware that every stolen glance, every casual touch, every brush of lips could ignite not only their dormant passion but a chain reaction of drama that could engulf Claire, Holden, Kyle, and everyone tied to the Newman family. Speaking of Claire, her own romantic turmoil only magnifies the intensity of Victoria and Nate's connection, because as Claire navigates the treacherous waters of Kyle Abbott's lies, betrayals, and repeated failures to live up to her expectations, and as Holden Novak's charm and attentions tug at her heart in ways she didn't anticipate, she becomes increasingly fragile, reactive, and susceptible to misjudgment, and Victoria, who has already endured the heartbreak of losing Cole, finds herself reliving the fear of losing her daughter to poor choices, manipulative men, and impulsive actions, which is why she leans more and more on Nate, who has always been a steady presence, a man capable of reading both Victoria and Claire in ways others cannot, and as they conspire, strategize, and support each other through these family crises, the intimacy between Victoria and Nate deepens, moving from friendship into something that feels inevitable, electric, and impossible to resist. Every time Holden makes a subtle move to edge Nate out of Claire's life, every time Kyle's attempts to repair the damage he caused fall short, Victoria feels the familiar tension rise within her, a mix of protective instinct and suppressed longing. And it is in these moments that the kiss she gave Nate earlier resurfaces in her mind, replaying itself with intensity, reminding her of what she is missing, of what she once had, and of the dangerous allure of reigniting something that had never truly died. Genoa City watchers can anticipate that Victoria will wrestle with conflicting desires, her love for Cole and the memory of a man whose death left a gaping wound, the maternal drive to protect Claire at all costs, and the undeniable pull she feels toward Nate, who represents not only comfort and familiarity but also the dangerous thrill of a romance that promises both ecstasy and disaster, because in Genoa City, nothing good is ever simple, and no act of the heart ever comes without consequences. As Nate notices Victoria's hesitation, her fleeting looks, her restless energy, he begins to understand that the chemistry between them is reaching a tipping point, that their partnership is evolving into something neither can control, and that while their kiss may have been born out of vulnerability, it has opened a door to temptation that neither can close, a door that threatens to reshape not just their lives but the lives of those closest to them, particularly Claire, who is navigating a stormy sea of emotions where Holden's influence grows with every passing day, seducing her with promises of safety, attention, and the illusion of trust, while Kyle struggles desperately to repair his own mistakes, but only seems to dig the hole deeper, making it easier for Holden to fill the space Kyle abandoned. The danger of Victoria's kiss lies not in the act itself but in its timing, because Genoa City is a city of eyes, ears, and whispers, and even a hint of impropriety could spark scandal, especially with Victor Newman watching every move his daughter makes, Nikki silently observing, and Nick caught between loyalty to family and the desire to protect Claire from heartbreak, and in this context, Victoria's decision to engage with Nate romantically becomes a powder keg, one wrong spark threatening to ignite multiple storylines, exposing secrets, and creating conflict not just between lovers but across the entire Newman-Abbott Spectra network. Nate himself is fully aware that this is a high-stakes game, that indulging in passion now could complicate everything, but he is also aware that Victoria's vulnerability mirrors his own, that her pain resonates with his grief, and that together they share a bond forged in shared loss, mutual support, and a history of unspoken longing, making the chemistry between them almost impossible to resist. The kiss, in this context, is as much a moment of comfort as it is a declaration of desire, a magnetic pull that neither can fight, and while they both understand the potential consequences, including Victoria's motherly responsibilities to Claire and the fragile dynamics with Holden and Kyle, they cannot ignore the powerful emotions surging between them. At the same time, Claire's world is becoming increasingly unstable, and every decision Victoria and Nate make has direct implications on her safety and emotional well-being. As Holden maneuvers closer, his intentions increasingly ambiguous, and as Kyle continues to stumble, Victoria and Nate's connection provides a stabilizing yet combustible presence, a force that could either protect Claire or add fuel to the fire depending on how the weeks unfold, and as spoilers hint, viewers can expect a series of escalating confrontations, emotionally charged exchanges, and precarious situations that will test Victoria and Nate's restraint, their loyalty to family, and their capacity to survive the complicated messes they inherit. Their kiss is, in many ways, the spark that lights the fuse for all the drama to come, setting off a series of choices, reactions, and consequences that will ripple through Genoa City, forcing characters to confront their desires, their loyalties, and the limits of what they are willing to risk for love, protection, and the fleeting moments of happiness that seem always just out of reach in the Newman universe. Fans should anticipate stolen glances in boardrooms, whispered reassurances in hallways, late-night strategy sessions turning into emotional confessions, and repeated instances where Victoria and Nate are forced to navigate the line between appropriate support and dangerous attraction.